Hey, everybody. So, today we're going to be talking about the latest news from Disney, basically, because they own both Marvel and Star Wars. Uh, I know it's been out for a couple days now, but I really wanted to talk about the lineup that we've seen from Marvel Studios and also Star Wars and what's coming out soon. I like what's going on with Marvel, but specifically what's going on with the fact that Disney reacquired Fox or acquired Fox, I should say, and Marvel reacquired the X-Men, Fantastic Four, Deadpool, and other characters as well. I'm really excited about the Spider-Verse news that's come out. But other than that, I I gotta tell you, like I couldn't care less about these movies and shows that they got coming out right now, and I knew this would happen. Like back in the day, like back kind of in the midpoint of what they call the Infinity Saga now, which was it started with Iron Man in 2008 and ended with well, I guess technically it ended with Spider-Man Far From Home, but it was really the Thanos story and ended with Avengers Endgame, right? I knew that because Marvel Studios didn't at the time they didn't have access to the X-Men properties or Fantastic Four or really Spider-Man. I mean, they had him kind of licensed for a couple movies at the time, but they don't have direct access to him the way they do these other characters. And so it was going to be weird, like going forward after the Infinity War movie, because they didn't have access to those characters that everyone wanted to see, right? Which is the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, etc. And but so that's kind of what this Phase 4 stuff looks like to me, because obviously we know they acquired Fantastic Four, Deadpool, X-Men, but it's kind of like this is like that awkward period between like the Infinity Saga and like rebooting the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and all that stuff. So I honestly feel like I could take a break from the MCU. I like the MCU. I love how much fun it is. With all the different characters interacting with each other. I really do like the fact that they have these Disney Plus shows where characters can literally not only interconnect. Because before, the Netflix series, you had Daredevil and Luke Cage, Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones, and they could kind of like cross over in the shows, but the shows and the movies at the time the characters wouldn't really cross over. But now that's not the case anymore. You can have characters going from movies to shows, from shows to movies, and just move in between movies and shows seamlessly. Not only move in between them seamlessly, but the movies and the shows are directly connected to each other storyline wise. So that aspect of it's really cool to me. I'm really excited about that. But frankly, I don't care about. I really don't care. I really don't care. I don't know, man. I don't. I don't. I feel bad because I don't care about any of these movies really. The only thing I care about really is like Spider-Man 3. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness sounds interesting. WandaVision sounds kind of interesting, but honestly, I'm more interested in like a House of M type of situation, which I'm sure they're leading to that. You know what I mean? With Wanda like ripping open the multiverse or something and going bananas, and she'll probably have to be a force that they have to stop. And I'm sure the X-Men will be involved, and that'll be sort of the segue into introducing mutants into the MCU. But She-Hulk. I'm not saying the shows are going to be bad. I'm just saying I'm not. It's just very weird. It's like I'm excited, but I'm not excited. Like I'm excited for the Disney Plus shows, but I'm not excited for the shows that they have coming out. I just couldn't. I couldn't care less. Secret Invasion will be cool. I thought that would be like a movie or something, but I'm sure that's something where it's big enough to where it could be like a series and lead into bigger movies. That could be cool. Other than that, I'm just kind of waiting for the X-Men to come out, Fantastic Four. The only thing I think is the big hitter for this particular phase is honestly Spider-Man 3. And I want to talk a little bit about that recently because there's been a lot of news surrounding just Spider-Man 3. And as many of you probably heard, you have Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, the other, the previous two Spider-Men, the actors that played Spider-Man in the previous two, sagas. I don't know if you could call it a saga, just kind of. Tobey Maguire was in 3 movies, Andrew Garfield was in 2, and then they rebooted again with Tom Holland, who's the current Spider-Man. And but they're gonna like open up the multiverse They're going to lead into the Sinister Six, which will be comprised of. What's really cool is that it'll be comprised of villains from different Spider-Man movies. So like Doctor Octopus from Spider-Man 2, Electro from Amazing Spider-Man 2, the Vulture from Homecoming. So it'll be like the Sinister Six coming together across multiverses from different Spider-Man movies, which will be really cool. And I think what'll be interesting is they'll be able to set up kind of like not only setting up a Spider-Verse with all these different characters that can kind of move in and out of each other's movies, but I don't know if this is confirmed 100%. It might be, and I might just not be aware of it, but I think the Spider-Verse is supposed to be running parallel to the MCU, or they might set it up with the multiverse so that the Spider-Verse could do whatever they want, and it's still anything they need to become canon in the MCU can, because they can kind of go between universes, right? But I think what's also really interesting is they could I don't know if they're doing this, but they could potentially relaunch the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies and even Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. And we could maybe see some more of those. And then of course there's Venom and Carnage. So I think there's a lot of interesting things that we'll be able to see coming. Obviously, Tom Holland Spider-Man will be able to come in and out of the Spider-Verse, and that's really exciting. I think that's the most exciting thing. And then, of course, they also announced that Charlie Cox is coming back as Daredevil in Spider-Man 3 as Peter's lawyer. So that's really amazing news to me, too, because not only is Daredevil in the MCU now, not only is Charlie Cox going to reprise his role as Daredevil, which is awesome, but I'm really thinking, but now because he's established in the MCU, they may just sort of like continue the Daredevil series that was on Netflix, but just now it's on Disney Plus, and now Daredevil can actually move in between different shows and movies, which I think is really cool, and that's what I'm looking forward to most, right? Like I want to see more Daredevil, I want to see more Spider-Man. I really don't care about She-Hulk. I really don't care about Ironheart, or I'm just sorry to say, like Shang-Chi. I don't even know who that is. The only thing that's cool about Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings of Madness, or whatever it is, the Legend of the Ten Rings, is I think we're gonna get a Mandarin that is done justice. And what's really interesting for someone like me, who's a big fan of martial arts, is I think the cast of Shang-Chi looks like actors who actually know martial arts for real, and so we can see some real. And when I say for real, I mean, like, you got like, the martial arts and like the Matrix and stuff, but that's all, those are just actors doing the best they can with a choreographer doing some basic training with them, right? But I think Shang-Chi and even like Iron Fist, that show, Iron Fist is a character that should know martial arts for real, and that actor just didn't do it justice. So I'm hoping that this opens the door to a new iteration of Iron Fist, and that we have like real martial arts going on. I think that could be a lot of fun. I think Spider-Man is the most interesting thing that we're seeing here. I really hope we see. The other thing that's really exciting to me potentially is because I think it's kind of like Sony will be able to have their own Spider-Men to do their own Spider-Man thing with different actors, right? So I think that means that we could have Tom Holland's Spider-Man Peter Parker in the MCU for the long haul, which would include even potentially more Spider-Man movies. I think there was an idea to do like a first trilogy, 1, 2, and 3, and then do a second trilogy when he's in college, 4, 5, and 6. And then, of course, be moving around between different shows and movies, and team-ups like the Avengers or X-Men or whatever. So I think they've set it up to where Spider-Man could be in the MCU for a long time. And of course, it's really cool that they got Tom Holland at the age that he is, because they could really keep him around a long time, hopefully, which will be cool. I mean, as long as we can get like a decent trilogy and some crossovers with Spider-Man, that's all I care about. But I would like to see a Secret Wars movie down the line. And I think this is opening the door to allow them to do that, as well as with the symbiote. I mean, I don't know what their plans are with Venom, but I'm sure that Tom Holland's Spider-Man is going to be able to interact with Venom. I don't know if Venom is going to be able to come into the MCU or the symbiote. I don't know about all that, but we'll see. You know, I really think that Sony has properties that Marvel wants to be able to use, and obviously Marvel has a lot of things that Sony could use character-wise, right? Like, you know, MCU has Blade and Sony has Morbius. Those are two characters that traditionally know each other. So I'm hoping they work something out where there could be like a almost like free exchange of characters between Sony and Marvel going forward. The fans, you know, would only bring money for everyone, and everyone would love it. The Spider-Man 3, this is the most. I never thought something like this would even happen. A live-action multiverse Spider-Man movie. That's incredible. Daredevil's in Charlie Cox is back. It's fantastic. So that's what I'm looking forward to most. As far as Star Wars goes, I gotta tell you, I'm one of those people that wasn't a big fan of this sequel trilogy, and I don't really know how anyone could say that they are a fan because it's objectively bad writing. You know what I mean? It's like it's not only bad writing, but it's like episodes 7, 8, and 9. There's not really like a real coherent story between those three movies. You know, it's like episode 8, The Last Jedi, felt so different from The Force Awakens. It's like the characters they tried telling everyone that didn't like The Last Jedi that they were racist or sexist or whatever, but it's like, but wait a minute, like these are the same characters from The Force Awakens. I like them. I like that movie. I'm a Force Awakens guy. I thought that was good enough. They should have just made a trilogy about around that, you know. But you know, it didn't, story wise, it didn't really move Star Wars forward. I don't really know what that was all about. You know, I don't have any idea. So now they're you know, bringing out all these shows and stuff, and you know, The Mandalorian is cool enough, but I still don't. I'm just not into it anymore. Like, it's just not exciting. I think what Star Wars really needs to do, if they're smart, right, is sit down, because obviously Marvel has, you know, they have good direction with Kevin Feige overseeing everything and stuff like that. But I mean, the real secret sauce is they have a wealth of material to draw from to continue these stories going probably forever, right? In the movies, and so it's a relatively easy thing to do to bring, like, you know, the Winter Soldier to the big screen, or Civil War, or you know, a lot of these other movies, the Infinity War movie. You know, a lot of these movies were just kind of just pulled from graphic novels and stories that already existed in comic format. So, you know, I think that what Star Wars needs to do is just sit down and instead of getting ahead of themselves, it's not about releasing too much. It's about releasing too much stuff that isn't any good, right? And they just need to flesh out. They need to create new characters, right? I mean, they're kind of flopping around with characters from the extended, you know, the original EU, right? But I just think they need to sit down and create like you know, get George Lucas involved and just kind of create like a whole new, you know, storyline, create new characters that are interconnected with each other. I mean, you just got to go deep, you know, set up new worlds, set up new characters, give new characters new backstories, set up different potential storylines, and then start creating movies based on that. I don't know why that's so hard for these people to figure out. I don't really get that. I mean, you got to just have good source material to keep, you know, you don't want to just keep. It's like even with 7, 8, 9, it was like they didn't really know what they were doing. They're just kind of winging it. That's what it seemed like, right? And it was kind of obvious, right? So sit down, write up a plan, not just for a trilogy, but for a whole new extended universe that could go on for a long, I mean, at least like 10 or 20 years, right? Like just flesh out a lot of story and a lot of new characters and stuff, and have the old characters like Luke Skywalker kind of segue into those characters. So I really thought that's what they were going to do from the beginning, but shockingly they didn't want to do that. So the shows, I don't know. I watched The Mandalorian season 1. Yeah, it's good. You know, it's fine. It's not a bad show, but I just still don't. I don't know, man. That sequel trilogy really kind of killed Star Wars for me, man. I just don't care anymore. I mean, I almost feel like maybe down the line they'll get it together and, you know, create really great new stories. That's the other thing. They keep recycling characters. It's like, you know, I don't really want to see, like, I've had enough of Anakin and Luke and, you know, this whole story. We need new characters, right? Like, I don't want to see an Obi-Wan show. I know what he was doing on Tatooine, right? You know what? We've seen enough of Darth Vader. Maybe a Darth Vader movie or something, but I mean, enough is enough, right? Like even Ahsoka, she's cool, but like we've seen her. It's enough. Like we got to move forward, right? And that's what I wish they would do here. So I'll leave links in the description below for some of these sites so you can check out the exact release dates of all the stuff that's slated to come out. Honestly, I like the MCU a lot better than Star Wars right now. It's much more interesting. But again, I'm pretty much waiting for more Spider-Man, X-Men, and Fantastic Four at this point, and Deadpool, of course. So that's pretty much all I got for you guys today. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.